The following podcast contains spoilers for Dead Man Walking. You have been warned!
What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of KFR News Radio. This is your host, Glenjamin Button, along with your host, Miguel Magusto. I couldn't hold it in.
Arrivederci.
I tried to be quiet. I couldn't contain it.
What couldn't you hold in exactly?
My love for this podcast and you.
Yes, that makes sense. How
my
are
brave
you doing?
luchador. Not bad, my guy. You
cool.
know, just another week of containment.
Yes.
Living the best we can.
Yes. I guess it's just time to, in lockup, watching movies. What movies have you watched?
So I didn't mean to do this. I 100% actually missed one from last week's little calling of movies. One was called Fireworks. It's one of those animated movies, that I watch from Japan.
Just say anime.
I don't want to, because then I feel more judged.
What's the word for being a anime fan?
A weeb.
A weeb? Yeah, you're a total weeb.
I'm 100% not a weeb.
You're a weeb. You got a body pillow and everything. I've seen it. I've seen it with my eyes.
Listen, it's a body pillow of you. It's not just because it's an
body
animated
pillow
version of you.
And you got a vending machine of my used underwear in there for some reason. I don't know.
All right, you didn't have to tell them about that. Come on.
So Fireworks.
It's from a studio, which is everything's in Japanese right now, so I can't even see what the studio's from. But it's one of those studios that do really, really, really good job of animation, and I wanted to check it out just for that sole purpose. And
Cool.
Movie was completely subpar. Literally on IMDb as a 5.5, and I think I would give it a 6 at least, or at most, whatever. But yeah, that was Fireworks. It was okay. But then the other one was Grave of Fireflies.
Ooh, that's
Which is a Studio
interesting
Ghibli
title.
Film, which is also another anime movie.
Weeb.
This one is about a boy and his little sister struggle to survive in Japan during World War II. Basically, it's a really heart-wrenching movie. It's like this kid who's it's taking place in World War II when like all these bombs are going off and shit like that, and
As happens in war.
of course, and their mother like dies from like I guess obviously the bombs and shit like that.
Oh, damn.
And so like he has to try to like
From the bombs and shit like that.
yeah, and
You're a poet, Glenn.
oh, I'm well aware. So he has to help try to raise both like himself and his sister. He has to scavenge to help him and his sister survive, and it's really heart-wrenching, and the ending just kind of literally kills you. And
Literally, eh?
yeah, literally. I'm somehow
You're
a ghost.
a ghost? Oh, man.
And the title of the movie 100% fits the movie. So
Yep.
those are the two movies that I watched besides Dead Man Walking.
Well, I will give you a dime if you can guess how many movies I watched this week, other than Dead Man Walking.
I know the show that you watched.
Yeah.
So I can't even like think of what you watched besides that.
I watched one movie other than Dead Man Walking, and it's called Crip Camp. It is a documentary about this camp that was specifically for people with mental and physical disabilities in the 60s or 70s in I believe, the Catskills in New York, and how those people went on to kind of fight for, I forget what, it's like ADA, I think. It's essentially just like civil rights for disabled people.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really well-made documentary. And if you're tired of like the shitty people being talked about in Tiger King, watch Crip Camp, because they all seem to be decent human beings.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a good heartwarming documentary. And then, as you know, I watched the entirety of Ozark because I hadn't seen a single episode. So that is 3 seasons, 10 episodes each, 30 episodes, about an hour. So I spent 30 hours watching Ozark.
Do you want to give them the span of that process? Like how?
I started Friday,
Yeah.
ended Sunday. So
Literally cranked out, texting me the whole time, cranked out the whole thing. I was like, Jesus, dude.
yeah, I watched. I binged it more than probably any show has ever binged
Yeah.
in the world.
No, yeah, you
because
binged
that's
the
not
living hell
stuff
out
that
of
you
it.
can just like be on your phone while watching. You have to pay attention to that shit.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
I told you.
Yeah,
I told you. I've got some good ones.
you do every now and then. And I also watched something that will come up in my plug for this week. So yeah, we can get into that later. For now, let's move on to some movie news. Did you have a piece of news, Glenn?
Yes, Mike, I did. I did have a piece of news. After scurrying movie rant for about 6 hours, I finally found something that wasn't anything comic book related or coronavirus related. It was great. Martin Scorsese is in talks with Apple, Netflix. Why is it labeled like Apple and Netflix to distribute a big budget Killers of the Flower Moon, which is going to be a movie about the mysterious killings of the Osage tribe members. Is that how you say it? Osage?
Osage or Osage?
It's one of the two. I'm sorry.
I know
I'm part
like,
Native American, so I feel a
you
little
really?
bad for myself. Yes, actually.
You were the whitest part Native American.
Right?
Are you like 1/1,000,000th or something?
Dude, I'm literally 1/2 billionth.
1-2 billion.
But he is in talks with those distributors about that movie, about the mysterious killings of the Osage tribe members. And I think if it goes through, I think that would be really cool. It'd be great for him to do something with a like Native American cast, such as that one movie did with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's slipping my mind right now. With the bear.
Oh, Revenant?
Yes, thank
Yeah.
God.
I was like, just because he's the only one really in it and everyone else is just kind of, all the main characters are kind of white. I was just like, what movie are you talking about?
Or Wind River. Yeah, that too.
Wind River or Hostiles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Christian Bale and Wes Cuddy.
Yeah. I think it'd be pretty cool. It'd be like great thing for them to do.
Yeah. It kind of makes me sad that he still has to get Netflix distribution.
Oh, 100%.
But I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I really hope that the crisis movie theaters are going in right now makes them wake up and show movies that people actually want to see that just happen to be distributed by Netflix.
Yeah.
And not just like be stubborn as fuck about it. Like, Jesus Christ, they're so stubborn about it sometimes. And
Oh, they absolutely are.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any movie news.
The only other one that I saw was one that said that movie theaters are hoping to open back up in late July, which I take with a grain of salt because I work at a movie theater.
Yeah, I hope it means like all of them open and then, you know, some of them open more steadily, you know, not just all at once. Just because I'm tired of not going to the movies. I need my fix, damn it. I'm jonesing. I'm scratching at my elbow pit. It's like there's track marks. I am a heroin addict, and I need.
I'm just glad you're finally fessing up to this. This is why I brought you here.
Addiction is not something to laugh at, but me being addicted to movies is kind of to laugh at. So, yeah, I need my fix, and I'm tired of having to settle for my awesome home theater. If I didn't have this home theater, I would be much more depressed than I am right now.
Yeah.
But
I can only imagine what you'd be binging at the movies besides Ozark.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably something else. I don't know.
Literally,
but, yeah. The only other thing I wanted to mention was they released stills of characters for Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Mm-hmm. You can see them online, and Timothée Chalamet just looks like a young Kylo Ren.
Yeah. You really do. And Oscar Isaac looks like a complete badass.
Yeah, I mean, he always looks like a badass, so.
Of course he does.
But yeah, let's move on to Dead Man Walking.
This man shot Walter Delacroix 2 times in the back of his head. Then raped Hope Percy and stabbed her 17 times. In the courtroom at his sentencing, he was smiling and chewing his gum. He is an unfeeling, perverse misfit, and it is time.
You've put in a request to be the spiritual advisor to Matthew Poncelet. This boy is to be executed in 6 days. You must be very, very careful.
Well, Matthew, I made it.
You never done this before?
No,
Never been this close to a murder before?
not that I know of.
What is a nun doing in a place like this?
I just want to help him take responsibility for what he did.
I like being alone with you. You're looking real good to me.
Death is breathing down your neck. You're playing your little man on the make games.
You're a white supremacist, a follower of Hitler.
Hitler was a leader, but he was on the right track that the Aryan was master race.
You are making it so easy for them to kill you, coming across as some kind of a crazed animal, Nazi, racist mad dog who deserves to die.
You can leave.
I'm not gonna do that.
You want to be there to comfort him when he dies?
This is an evil man.
But I didn't kill him. I didn't kill nobody. I swear to God I didn't.
I ain't gonna get no chair, Daddy. I'm pissed off at them kids for being parked out in the woods that night. Pissed off at them parents coming to see me die.
You blame the government, you blame drugs, you blame blacks. What about Matthew Poncelet? What, is he just an innocent? If you do die, as your friend, I want to help you die with dignity, and I don't see how you can do that unless you start to own up to the part you played in Walter and Hope's death.
Dead Man Walking, directed by Tim Robbins, written by Helen Prejean, the book written by, and also Tim Robbins. I think I did this same shit last week where I fucked all that up. Stars Susan Sarandon, Sean Penn, Robert Prosky, R. Lee Ermey, Raymond J. Barry, and a little sneak peek. And you sent me a text of this, and I was like, who could be Sean Penn's brother? I said, William Penn? He said, no, you idiot.
His actual brother is Chris Penn, who was not in this movie.
And lo and behold, it was Jack Black.
Jeremiah Black. That's not his middle name. I don't know what his middle name is.
Is that his middle name?
And we also got a esteemed character actress and fugitive from the law, Margot Martindale. Every time I see her, I have to say that because BoJack Horseman is my life. And yeah, it's give me what that plot's about there, Glenjamin. What's that plot about?
You know what? I think I will. A nun, while comforting a convicted killer on death row, empathizes with both the killer and his victims' families.
Yes. And I was surprised to find out that this is based on a true story. I mean, not really surprised, but it was just like, oh, I did not know that. I thought it was just a, typical run-of-the-mill capital punishment film. And I guess we could start by having you get into it a little bit, since it's your pick that you made me pick.
Okay. That's
what happened.
Will.
You
it
made
really
me
was.
pick it.
So little did I know, I had seen this movie before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I didn't realize it until about halfway through the movie. I'm sitting there, I'm like, this movie looks so familiar. And it's been years since I've seen it. I don't even remember when I saw it, but I'm sitting there, I'm like, this scene is killing me. I've seen this before. And then, like, finally at the end of the movie where all the really good scenes are happening, I'm like, all right, I have seen this movie. I know what's happening. I feel the same way I felt about it back then. Oh, my heart. Oh, my heart.
Is that how you said it? Oh, my heart.
Yeah, I tried to do it in a southern accent, but here we are.
Oh, man.
Yeah, man. Everybody, especially Sean Penn, why is he always like a convicted felon?
He's got that look to him.
Yeah,
he grows really good redneck facial hair.
Yeah,
which is like, I can't grow a beard, so I'm gonna have this little ratty goatee looking thing. And he's got a look to him where it's kind of like, for lack of a better word, soft but intimidating.
Yeah.
Where, like, when you see him, it could go either way. He could be an asshole or he could be nice, which is, from what I understand, pretty close to the real Sean Penn, where, some people love him and some people say he's a complete dick. I feel like that goes for most celebrities, though. But, yeah, I think and he also is one of those actors who doesn't care about the glamour. He wants interesting characters.
Yeah.
And
Well, he certainly gets them.
Yeah, those kinds of characters are just more interesting than your run-of-the-mill romantic interests and straight guy.
That is true.
I mean, like straight comedically, not a
or straight guy.
Yeah, and that too. I mean, he played Harvey Milk, who is, I mean, the whole point of that. He's a. I think he was like the first openly gay congressman, something, state senator, something like that. But that's a good movie too. But we're not talking about Milk, are we, Glenn?
We're talking about Dead Man Walking.
Talking about Dead Man Walking.
Anyway,
got off the rails
speaking
there
of
a
Sean
little bit.
Penn being a convict, there's so many people in this movie. Like, I was actually surprised.
Yeah, that's one thing that Tim Robbins, I feel, always does well. I was listening to a podcast with him, and he was just talking about like how, and I'm sure he is exaggerating for the most part, but he was talking about like how it's not really the money for him. He just wants to collaborate with good people and great performers and all that. And he runs his own theater in LA. I don't know if he did at the time of this, but with a name already known like Tim Robbins, I'm sure that attracted a lot of people for roles, and they probably kind of helped him out with costs and everything. So there is a shit ton of people. There's a lot more we didn't even mention.
Yeah, even like random side characters that were in this were just like, oh, I know that face.
Yeah, like Scott Wilson, who plays Herschel in Walking Dead, and he's also known for In Cold Blood as well. There is what's his name? The guy who played the teenager that Sean Penn killed. God, what's his name?
I can't. His name in the show or movie is
Walter.
like Walter.
Yeah,
but I'm not. Hold on. I gotta click on full cast.
God, where is it?
Peter Skarsgård.
Peter Skarsgård. Yeah, he's everyone. You might not know that name, but you know the face. One of the things that he's probably most known for.
Is it weird that I think he's in Skeleton Key with Kate Hudson?
He might be. I've never seen Skeleton Key, so I'll take your word for it. But he's mostly known for Garden State and Jarhead and that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just got a lot of really, mainly character actors, like actors where you're like, oh, I know that face, but I don't know the name. And I don't know how you feel about Capital Punishment, but I feel like it did a really good job at kind of doing a balancing act where it wasn't shoving a lesson down your throat. It was just kind of presenting both sides of the argument.
Yeah.
Which honestly, if you're going to make a movie about any given topic, that's how you should do it.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be too preachy, because then otherwise you just kind of you alienate half of your audience. But yeah, I thought
this
it was
movie
really
did a really
well
good job at multiple things like that.
Who did?
This movie did that a lot. Like, not just with the I almost said electrocution, but execution. Like with even with religion too, it didn't shove religion down your throat at all too hard. Either.
Yeah. And I mean, Sean Penn makes a mention of that to Susan Sarandon's character in the beginning, where like one of the first things he says is, "I like how you didn't try to shove religion down my throat when you came here."
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it was a really well balanced film. If I had anything negative to say about it, I kind of wish it was a little more emotional.
Yeah.
It definitely was towards the end for obvious reasons, but it took a while to get to those emotional beats. That's not to say it wasn't interesting throughout, but it was, I was more or less just a fly on the wall until like the last 30 minutes or so, and then I became like emotionally involved in the film.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't recognize this movie until halfway through, because I don't want to say they're completely different halves of a movie, but like it definitely picks up halfway through, and you get more emotionally invested in everything, especially between Susan Sarandon and Sean Penn's characters. Mm-hmm. And Sean Penn's character just kind of has this wall that he puts up, and he just doesn't want to tell what happened.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like get into like that emotional state with him, because he's just putting up a wall so hard.
Yeah. And I think it was, I mean, obviously it was done on purpose, where like the event and his involvements in the event were like an elephant in the room. You weren't really sure when he was telling the truth about it. and whatnot, because they and it worked for me. They wanted you to accept this guy for who he is right now in your face, not what he is guilty of having done until the very end. So like I thought that was really a really smart move, because there's so many things where like it opens up with the crime, and then you just kind of don't. I don't want to say you don't care about the person, because I personally am against capital punishment in pretty much every single case.
Yeah.
Not 100%, but in pretty much every single case, I'm against it. So either way, I probably would have been on their side. But for, some of the more cynical and vengeful, not saying that in a negative way, vengeful viewers, they could see who he is without having known exactly what he's done, just what he's accused of. So yeah, that was really smart.
Yeah, I really like the build up until the very end with all that, because you during the whole process you don't know whether he actually did this thing or not, because he's not letting it up, and he's saying that, oh, I didn't do those things in the beginning, and then it turns out at the end he did.
Yeah.
But for reasons like drunkenness and what's the word for it? Basically trying to be show offy to another person. He was like scared of this dude.
Yeah, definitely.
So he was trying to be like him.
Yeah, 100%. And it was kind of frustrating just because, again, I had to separate my personal beliefs with some characters, like the victim's parents' characters, just because they were so illogical in a way.
Yeah.
Granted, I've never had anyone in my family killed. Like, everyone that I'm aware of in my family that I have known has died of illness or natural causes. And so it's kind of like, it's hard to imagine something like that until you're in that position. But like they did come off as illogical to me personally, and I really just wanted Susan Sarandon to just be like, yo, everyone deserves consultation or religious consultation or what have you.
Yeah.
And she just never said that, and I was just like, just say that and they'll get off your back about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that Sean's, I could see where they'd be very pissed off.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like there's one person supporting this dude, and they were like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah, yeah. And I again have not been through their situation, but I like to think that I would keep a level head and just know that she's not taking sides. She's just doing what she can to save a soul in her mind. Kind of guide him to Christianity. And I mean, if we're honest, that's kind of what Christianity is about. It doesn't really matter what you've done. Theoretically speaking, of course, I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't believe that, but that is the basis of Christianity, is that you can always be forgiven. And so it was just frustrating when they just wouldn't accept that. But again, completely understandable in the context. It was just probably my one nitpick about the movie. It's just like, come on, just think about it for a second.
Yeah, and then at the end they kind of like try to move, even though everything's all said and done and Sean Penn's character is killed, they try to get there's one family member that steps up and he's like, I can't find it in my heart to forgive this man. And she's like, will you try? He's like, I don't know. And then at the end you see him with Susan Sarandon like praying at a church. So like you see like he's trying to make the effort, but it was at the very end of the movie.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that it's like an easy thing to do that either. It's just, I feel that their characters, if anything, it did a disservice to those kinds of people because it made them seem like archetypical, like vengeful people that don't care about, facts or anything. And not saying that they had to, but it just, I feel like it did a disservice to that side of the argument.
Yeah.
But like you said, it did wrap it up nicely in the end, where like some people will come and do their best to forgive. But
yeah, I mean, even during his like execution, like he's trying, he's like, he has his last words and he's like saying something to this one family. I can't remember if it was the like sons or daughters.
It was the son's kid parents first,
Yeah.
and then they didn't even give him a second to switch to them. And Arlie Ermey's just like, "What about us?"
What about us? So they're like they were being dicks even while he's on his like execution
Which
bed.
like I never even understood to begin with. Not just the victims or the parents, but like people celebrating an execution. There's one scene where they're having a vigil for a inmate who's being executed, and there's a protest celebrating his death, like counting down his death.
Yeah.
And I never understood that. Even in like cases like Ted Bundy, like yes, Ted Bundy is probably one of the few people that I feel like should have gotten the death penalty. But to celebrate someone else's death is just kind of like, it's fucked up. Like no matter what they did, you're no better than they are.
Yeah.
In my mind,
they even say that in the movie. Like
yeah.
Well, Susan Sarandon kind of has that philosophy, trying to like say something to the guards and stuff like that. She's like, you're just not much better than they are. Killing's killing. Like,
yeah,
they're like, ma'am, job's a job.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna be one to like blame guards and everything. Because he says, guard's a guard, but like it's just the people that are actually celebrating it and taking joy in it, not relieved. I'm like, there's one thing to be relieved that someone's put to death, and then someone who's celebrating it. There are people who are in this scene that are uninvolved, seemingly uninvolved with the families because they're not invited to witness the execution. And they're celebrating it. Like, if you're not involved, who the fuck are you to be celebrating this? Like,
Yeah.
Get over your fucking high. Like, you're just showing how unevolved your brain is by celebrating. You're no better than like chimpanzees who are screeching at the side of a alpha male fight, and one of them dies. Like, that's essentially what the fuck you're doing. Like, you're celebrating the death of a lower alpha male. It's so fucked up, but anyway, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah,
but
I mean, regardless, I think I really enjoyed this movie. Although it could have used like certain points in the movie where it could have used more push, like either more push in the character development between Susan Sarandon or Sean Penn, or more push between like side characters. With like sympathizing with Sean Penn's characters.
Yeah, I would have liked to see, just because there are stories like this where like the parents of a victim meet with their child's killer in the jail. I would have liked to see a scene like that where like maybe Arlie Ermey or Raymond J. Barry.
Yeah.
Who plays Walter's father, or even like Cecily Weston, who plays Mary's mother, go in and just like, not even to like forgive him, just to like talk and see like why my kids or whatever. They, like you said, just like an added layer of character development or connection between characters.
Yeah, it could have been used for sure. But I mean, overall, I still enjoy the movie a lot.
Yeah, same here.
Did they ever say what happened to that dude he like killed? And
they just said he got life. He didn't even get the death penalty. He just got life. So in that instance, like Sean Penn, in the law, I'm not saying that this is morally right, but in the law, Sean Penn should have also gotten the death penalty, but so did the other guy. I think his name's like Vincent or something.
Yeah.
Like they both should have gotten the death penalty. So in that sense, Sean Penn's character is right. Legally speaking, I'm not going to say morally, but so it is kind of still fucked up that the other guy just kind of got, I'm not going to say he walked free, but he didn't
die.
Yeah, he didn't die. Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I feel like this movie could have definitely used more, but I will tell you one thing for sure. I liked it more than Leaving Las Vegas.
Yes. I think it's actually kind of cool that we watched two movies back to back that had,
up and
actors,
running for Oscars and everything.
Yeah, in the same year too. That thing was a nice little experiment, or
maybe we'll do it
study.
again sometime.
Maybe, but yeah. So I guess that does it for Dead Man Walking. That brings us to Les Jugements.
What sucks is that I think that means I have to go first because it's my movie.
It is your movie, and
I'm actually pretty torn about it. Like, I'm not even joking about it. Like, I'm pretty torn about it. Like, it's a solid movie. I think it sucks that it takes like half an hour to really get into it.
Yeah.
But that last hour and a half is really good. and like you start to get into the emotion of it. You start to care more about the characters and everything.
Yeah.
And it really sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Like this might actually be kind of like the most split I've ever been.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I might put it on the shelf.
Fair. I agree with you. It is very. I am very torn about it mainly because there's nothing that really stands out about it. Like it's not. I would say it's a really good movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a really good movie. And the performances, unlike Leaving Las Vegas, are top notch. Like Leaving Las Vegas, the performances are good for what they are. But like this, I completely understand why they were nominated. I understand why Tim Robbins was nominated for director. And I think it's just a really solid, well-made movie that I don't want to say is forgettable because I'll probably remember it for a really long time. But
the thing is that I forgot it.
How old were you, though? That's the real question.
Yeah, I don't remember when I saw this, so I can't say.
Because if you were like 13, I completely understand why you would forget it. But like as an adult, it's...
But I think it was before we met is probably when I saw it.
Okay. So I think it's a really well-made film. So I'm going to agree with you. I do think it deserves a spot on the list just for the acting alone, if anything, because it is phenomenal acting. But I do wish there was just something to push it over the edge.
It definitely needed more substance, but that last hour and a half definitely, I guess, made it worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
To want to.
Yeah. So Dead Man Walking makes it onto the KFR shelf. It is a shelf boy. And that brings us to our plugs for this week. Glenn, since it is your episode, you go first with your plug.
So mine's kind of dumb. So
what else is new? Zing!
Well, it's a bada bing. So a couple weeks ago, I made a Netflix quarantine list of movies that I have personally seen and that I would personally recommend to people. I posted it on Facebook, Twitter, all that, and I had a buddy come to me and be like, "Hey, why don't you just post the whole Netflix catalog?" Ha, like elbowing me and like, you fucking guy. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, this is for other people. You don't have to like make a joke.
And also, it's probably very, very small.
Yeah, it's
compared to the act. People don't realize how much of Netflix is hidden from them because of their algorithm.
Yeah, I was looking categories through it. I mean, I've got 89 films that I have personally seen on there. I think I have to update it because I think they've updated it since Corona. So what the funny story is, I'm plugging this because yesterday he literally sent me a text saying, "Hey man, I need a movie that I haven't watched yet and that, I mean, I feel like you need to kind of recommend to me." I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
What's his name? First name?
All right, so we both know him. Kyle.
Kyle, fuck you, Kyle.
And so like I told him, I'm like, "Hey man, I made that quarantine list that you made a joke about. Check it out. There's some good stuff on there." And then 10 minutes later, he's like, "You know, I've got all the Rocky movies, and I don't think I've actually seen them." I'm like, God damn it. So for people who aren't like Kyle and actually want some recommendations, I made, after that situation, a bunch of lists. The Amazon Prime quarantine list, the Netflix quarantine, the Hulu quarantine, and the Disney Plus quarantine. All movies that I've seen and would recommend to anybody on any of those platforms.
So you're recommending yourself?
I am recommending myself, and that's going to be on Letterboxd. I know we do the plug at the end for that, but that's going to be on Letterboxd, and it's in my list. And to go there if you want to watch a goddamn movie.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend a TV show or a Hulu TV show that I binged watched separate from Ozark last week. It is the final episode will be released by the time this is let out or released. So you'll be able to watch the entire season, all 8 episodes, when this is out. It is on Hulu and it is called Devs.
This is your station?
But what am I actually doing here?
I'm not going to tell you. Don't worry. You're gonna figure it out.
The last time I saw him, he was headed toward Devs. And then he disappears. Something bad happened to him.
You know what happened to him. If you came for answers, ask me what you don't know.
What is Devs?
This is the only principle you need to understand. Nothing ever happens without a reason. Everything was determined by something prior.
They're fanatics. We need the police.
You want to take them down? It's impossible.
You knew I was going to come here.
The sense that you were participating in life was only ever an illusion. Life is just something we watch unfold.
What's inside?
Everything.
It is created, written, directed by Alex Garland of Ex Machina and Annihilation fame. Ooh. Yeah. And it is starring Sonoya Mizuno, who is one of the robots in Ex Machina. It's also got Nick Offerman, Jin Na, Allison Pill, Kaylee Spaney, Stephen McKinley Henderson. There's a whole bunch of people in this. And it is a solid show, and I'm really excited for the finale. And it is about a computer engineer investigates the secretive development division in her company, which she believes is behind the disappearance of her boyfriend.
Interesting. I definitely saw an ad for this not that long ago.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. If you want to see Nick Offerman in a serious role where he's not funny, I mean, he's got some funny parts, but he's mainly serious. My God, he's phenomenal in it.
Okay.
He's really good, and it's got that typical Alex Garland sci-fi mystery feel to it. It's really dark and gritty, and it's got a really cool tone and world building around it. So that is Devs on Hulu.
Got it.
Yeah, check it out. Glenn, I'm saying this specifically to you. I don't care if the listeners should listen to it, but you will fucking love this show. So you got to watch it.
Since you watched Ozark, I will watch Devs. So.
And this isn't going to take 30 fucking hours. It's only going to take 8 hours.
Okay, I will actually do that.
So, So that is all of Glenn's suggestion lists on Letterboxd and Devs on Hulu. Those are our 2 plugs for next week. Or this week. Our assignment for next week, it is Netflix Roulette's turn to decide for us. Last time, 2 times in a row, we got bad movies. The first time was The Forest. The second time was Spider-Man 3. Those are the only 2 movies we've done on this. As everyone knows, I can veto one and Glenn can veto one. But this will be a movie on Netflix. Netflix sponsor us.
Please.
And are you ready to find out what it is, Glenn?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay. Spinning now. I don't know how to feel about this one. It is called All of You. It is a romantic comedy. I think it is Spanish. It is about. It is starring Jenlyn Mercado, Derek Ramsey, Yayo Aguilla, Keen Cipriano, and a whole bunch of other people. Directed by Dan Villegas. I think I'm going to veto this one.
This does not have good reviews.
Yeah, I'm going to veto this one.
Okay. 5.3 IMDb. Facebook 4.8 out of 5. Ooh. Unreal 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, so I'm going to veto. That is my veto, Glenn. So
okay.
you can veto the next one if you want, or you can decide us to watch it.
Got
Spinning
it.
again. Ooh. This is slightly better, I guess. I recognize people in it. It is called The First Wives Club.
I actually think I've heard of this.
Of course you have. It's got a 6.4 on IMDb, a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. It is directed by Hugh Wilson, starring Goldie Hawn, Bette Midler,
Goldie Hawn, that's why.
Diane Keaton, Maggie Smith, Sarah Jessica Parker. and it is about after years of helping their hubbies climb the ladder of success, 3 midlife Manhattanites have been dumped for a newer, curvier model, but the trio is determined to turn their pain into gain. They come up with a cleverly devious plan to hit their exes where it really hurts, in the wallet. So Glenn, our fate is up to you regarding the First Wives Club. Will we watch it?
I want to veto, but the next one could be so much worse than this.
Well, let's veto it. Here's this. The last veto can pick in between the two.
Okay.
So if you veto first, you can't have a say in the last two.
Yeah, we should just do a best of 3.
Best of 3.
Instead
okay.
of ever like vetoing.
That is a good idea. So from now on, a best of 3. I apologize to everyone listening to us work this shit out. But man, okay. Spinning again. This is a comedy one, so like it's a stand-up routine, so I'm not going to pick that one. Okay, so this one could not be on the shelf because it came out last year, but it is The King, starring Timothée Chalamet and Robert Pattinson.
Oh, yeah.
Joel Edgerton, and it is directed by David Michaud. It is about an England 15th century Hal, a capricious prince who lives among the populace far from court, is forced by circumstances to reluctantly accept the throne and become Henry V. I don't know why they had to have so many words that no one ever uses in there, but or I'm just a big old dummy. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards that, even though it will not be able to be eligible for the shelf.
I want to lean towards that, but it's also not going to be able to shelf boy or anything. But
and I'm fine with that, honestly. If it's between
you just don't want to watch.
I don't.
Last one. Nah, fuck it. The King.
The King. Okay, so that is The King on Netflix.
A king has no friends, only followers and foe. A new chapter of my life has begun. As prince, I spent my days drinking, clowning. Now I find myself the king.
Choose your steps wisely, dear brother. They have their own kingdoms behind their eyes.
I need men around me I can trust. You are my friend. I will come with you. Now you will be watched over by an altogether different king.
Starring all those people I mentioned. Sean Harris is also in there. Forgot to mention him. And Johnny Depp's daughter. And Thomasin McKenzie from Jojo Rabbit. Ben Mendelsohn, our boy Ben Mendelsohn. Dean Charles Chapman, I believe, is in 1917. I could be incorrect. But yeah.
All I needed there was Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton, yeah, he's your boy. But yeah, that is on Netflix, The King. So I apologize for how messy that selection process was, but thank you everyone for listening. We'll be watching The King on Netflix next week. As always, you can follow our website, www.KeystoneFilmReview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_Film_Review. Twitter, Keystone_Film. Facebook, Keystone Film Review. And on Letterboxd, I am Mike KFR.
And I am Glenn KFR.
And that will do it until next week, when we actually might have a good Netflix roulette movie.
Holy crap.
Even though we had to pick it out of 3. So, bye, everybody.
Are you telling me Spider-Man 3 wasn't good?
No, fuck you.